Flexi, the study game changer, a quest to improve student outcomes. So after brief introductions, we want to do some context setting by discussing our learning analytics and how data can be leveraged to support student learning. And then we want to do that, but in terms of that, giving you the tools that you need to plan and adapt your class. After talking about that, we'll move into focusing on our key part of this webinar, which is our AI Tutor Flexi. And then we'll wrap up with some great resources for you to learn more and continue to get support, including our upcoming Connections program. We'll also stay on at the end and answer any additional questions you guys have then. So with that, let's get started. I want to introduce you to the two amazing all-star team members that are presenting today. Miral heads our technology and product development at the CK12 Foundation. He brings over 22 years of experience in building EdTech platforms. Prior to CK12, he was the VP of Tech at McGraw-Hill Higher Education. And before that, he worked at Prentice Hall Pearson Education, my bad. And Miral has two beautiful daughters, one in high school and the other in middle school. While Neeru is our co-founder and executive director, who truly believes that every child has the potential for a meaningful future, if given the opportunity. She's been working in education for over 30 years and has degrees in molecular biology and education. She's the mother of 4 children who had the benefit of getting a great education, and that caused her to wonder, why can't every child get such an education? Hence CK12. With that, let me have her turn on her audio and video, and I can turn this presentation over to her.
Well, thank you so much, Katie. It's always a pleasure to talk to our audience. I love to really get to you and kind of show you what we've been doing. And this is the first time in the last 15, 16 years that I'm really, really excited about what we've kind of created as a holistic product for people to use, students to learn and teachers to teach from. So data-driven, decision was one of the things that we truly believed would help us create a product that would be very useful. As you know, in this day and age, as with everything in our life, digital has become a key role. We are making better decisions, be it in our daily commute or booking a flight, due to vast amount of data that's available and the computing power, we can actually now make decisions and, kind of get to see what we couldn't see before. So I have to also admit that this is not as simple as learning and instruction in education, which is a completely different beast, because we don't know what the student knows or doesn't know. For the first time, we now have knowledge about student learning and teacher teaching at quite a deeper level. So to make better action and intervention decisions, we can now make more than just, did they get it right or wrong? So, so what we can do today is learning analytics, which we couldn't really do at a deep level. Yes, we had the results from ACT or, all the standardized testing or the exams we did in our classroom. But this is a different ballgame. We strongly believe that data-driven intervention will immensely help our educators in personalizing the students' education. We hope you agree that learning analytics and Flexi can have a transformative impact on your classroom as you get to use it. Let us show you how and why we think Flexi is the best AI tutor available in the world.
Thank you, teachers, for joining us. It's a great privilege to be with you. And thank you, Neeru, for explaining the role of learning analytics that can play in instruction and intervention. But unfortunately, as of today, when it comes to education, our educators are still not armed with the data-driven insights into their students' progress and struggle. As we can see, Neeru was projecting the gradebook, which has assignments on the top, students on the left, and you see all the scores on the right side, right? And then it tells you what happened, and it serves its own purpose. But the problem with the gradebook is it does not tell you why it happened. And we truly believe that once you know, and once you have the power of understanding why it happened, it will be the best secret weapon you ever had in your classroom. So let me jump right into the demo. Right now, I'm a teacher who has made this particular assignment on prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Oh, please bear with us when we're demoing. We might be taking a science concept or a math concept, but the product works across all the different concepts in middle school and high school math and science. So for this particular assignment was made to my students. I looked at the grade book. It told me how overall the class did, but it was hard for me to figure out like why some students were struggling and why some were excelling. I teach them everybody the same way. Now, this particular graph is showing me an axis of engagement versus skill level. And I can clearly see there are students like David who are highly engaged, but are not able to get the skill level they deserve. Whereas there are gifted students like Sally, who's not that engaged in learning, at least on the CK12 platform, but has achieved mastery. And with the CK12 Insight, what we intend to arm you with is like, which are the questions they are missing on a frequent basis? What are the knowledge components that are causing this question to be missed by those students? Are those because of some of the prerequisites that they might be missing? We also want to tell you things that are going exceptionally well, like 3 students in a class are doing exceptionally well, and they should move on to the next set of topics. Insights like students with low skills level have spent on the average 32% less time and were less engaged on this concept, because of which probably one of the reasons because of which they turned out to be at the low skill level. Now, we also want to know what's going on with David. How can we help David, who is really motivated and engaged, but somehow the skill level is not where he needs to be? And if I click on David, I can quickly see that David has spent enough time on this particular lesson, almost about 6 minutes, is a highly engaged student. We show you how the engagement is calculated, but this is the problem area where the skill level is of beginning. And you can see a histogram of where exactly David had spent time on. These are the things that will tell you, maybe is this a lack of effort? Maybe it's possible that David never scrolled beyond this point, and any question that comes after this piece of content, he's not able to answer. All he has to do is put in more efforts. But unfortunately, that's not the case with David. He's been fairly engaged, and he has been digested the entire lesson very well. So what we need to understand is now which questions David has missed and what are the knowledge components that the David is missing, so that we can remediate David on that and bring him where he belongs to, probably at the proficiency level or mastery level. Arming this information is going to greatly change the way you approach intervention after your class has taken an assignment. Over to you, Neeru.
Thanks. This is where I get really excited, because now we think we have somewhat of a crystal ball for kind of predicting, kind of saying where we can help, we can give foresights. So these insights for educators' intervention, it will help improve student outcomes. It's still reactionary. Wouldn't it be great if you knew how students in your class are going to perform in an assignment before anyone has even attempted to? This information will arm educators with who in their class is ready for assignment and who's not. And I see there are some parents. I mean, this is something even the parents can use to help their students, their children. So for those who are not ready, we can provide them targeted, granular knowledge that will boost them to get ready for the assignment so that they don't feel that they're failing. So just this alone makes it the most powerful AI tutor in the world. Yes, indeed, I have always wanted a crystal ball. Hopefully, this is going to get us there. So meet CK12's foresights. Miral.
And while Miral's swapping and stealing the screen, just remember the Q&A window is open and you guys are welcome to put your questions in there. We'll try to answer some of them as we go if it makes sense, and we'll definitely stay on. But go ahead and toss those in there anytime you guys have questions that come to mind.
Thanks, Neeru. And that's precisely what we have developed here. When we're using Google Maps, I'm sure you guys have seen that, like when you type in an address, let's say, I'm going from LA to San Francisco, and it is going to tell me where am I going to hit the traffic, where am I, am I going to reach on time? If I'm going to a shopping mall, if I'm going to meet somebody, are they going to be available there, or is that particular venue going to get closed by the time I reach there? The power of AI lies in its ability to predict things. With the advent of Chat GPT, there's a lot of people feel AI is nothing but just Chat GPT, which is natural language processing. No, that's one of the arsenal in the toolbox of AI. AI has various different models that are specifically designed to do particular thing really well. Either it's spoken and written language, but in this case, it's predictions. We wanted to predict how the students will do on a given assignment before you even have made an assignment or anyone has taken an assignment, because we wanted to tell if your class is ready for this. If your class is not ready for this, we also want to suggest to you, what should you do to make the class ready for it? So in this particular demo, I was about to assign hard to my class. And there I saw a button from CK12, which says, hey, do you want to check out the 4 sites? And I clicked on that particular button, and CK12 shows me how my roster is spread out. It shows me that some students are going to be at the beginning level. Few of them will achieve mastery, and the rest will be somewhere in between, developing to proficiency level. It also tells me which all questions majority of my students are going to miss, and what is the knowledge component that they are missing. Now, this particular level of missing knowledge components, understanding why students will not do well in a particular assignment, is something that we are actively working on, and we will love your feedback on that. So, and not only that, you can also go question by question. And let's say I'm going to click on the first question, which would be there, which is part of the assignment. And I can see which student are predicted to miss this particular question and which students are predicted to get this question correct. And of course, there will be some students which we don't have enough data on, then we wouldn't be able to do that. So here, what we are trying to do is not kind of, put the students, quote unquote, under the bus, saying that, oh, they are not going to do well, or they're going, what we want to identify is what knowledge components will let our students not succeed. And if we can diagnose that fast enough, early enough, then we don't let them struggle through the assignment, make them lose their confidence and feel that maybe this subject is not for me. We wanted to, if possible, remove the word remediation and do everything proactive so that our students get the benefit that they deserve and are poised for success. And Flexi is the superpower that we want to put in your hands. Thank you, Katie and Neeru. You both can take it from here. That's what I wanted to demo.
So, this all seems like great stuff, right? But how do we do this? How do we get help for every student when we are not there, when the student's teacher isn't there, the parent isn't there, which very often is the case? And supporting each one of these students is a challenge. Class size is a challenge. Limited class time is a challenge. What they do outside the home, school or class is a challenge. So at home, when the teacher can't help or the student is by themselves and they need the help, they're not able to know what to do. So this is where I think it might be where a private tutor for every student is key. It's what you can depend on when you're all by yourself. It's your companion. And we don't intend to give the answers or cheat. We need to help them think through what they're not understanding. So some students may be fortunate enough to avail a private tutor, but many can't afford one. This gap in equity has been a difficult age-old challenge until now. So the question to ask is, what can? Katie, next slide. So the question that we asked ourselves when we started building wasn't just to kind of say, okay, because large language models are here, what should we just start giving them a slapped on version of that? We actually had been working on this for last 15 years. And so then we asked, what is it that we can do? And we started looking for attributes of what a master tutor does. Continuous student assessment, based on that, suggesting next learning activity, which is called the outer loop, and then supporting them through an inner loop so that there's a, learning activities that are just right. The Goldilocks syndrome, the just right, which is very, very difficult to do. So we need to kind of keep asking these questions. So some of the things that we kind of instituted was we were hoping to be able to ignite curiosity by asking, kind of having a dialogue with them, develop critical thinking and problem solving skills through this interaction with a private tutor, help the student to reflect on their own journey, and then help create study plans and study tools that would help them become more knowledgeable about what they're doing. So what we could do is then predict student progress and struggles based on how they were using us and where they got stuck, what kind of questions they were asking. So gauging student interest, hobbies for making learning more engaging is a key component of this, because if you can think about whatever you want to become in your next, in your future, your career goals, to make learning more relevant and motivating, then you can talk about everything to learn in that context. And that, we believe, could also engage students. There'd be an answer to, why am I learning this? So then finally, the most important part is making curricular improvement as we go along. And that's what we've been building.
And with that, I think we're going to let Miral show you Flexi in action.
Yes.
Thank you, Katie and Neeru. Just to take a step back, our main passion is to improve student outcomes. Students are predominantly at two places, inside the classroom and outside the classroom at home. Our learning analytics are geared to give our instructors the insights they need for better instructions and intervention to improve the learning outcomes for the students. But when they are not there with students at home, the tutor's main goal is to support them in their learning journey and mimic as much as possible of a private human tutor, as Neeru described. So I'm going to jump directly into the demo, and I hope that you guys are able to see the Flexi, our AI tutor, in action here. Is my screen visible, please?
You're all set.
Okay. So I'm a student right now, and I'm by myself, and I have some questions. I'm kind of doing my homework, and I want some help. I want to kick off the tires with, what is photosynthesis? Flexi, the AI tutor, responds with an AI-generated answer. But it's not limited to that. it also will pull out the right level of snippets from the CK12 library, which is written by our domain experts. It's interactive in nature. It's multimodal, unlike the AI generated response, which is going to be predominantly textual in nature. And we are hoping that with explanations given by AI as well as CK12's corpus of content, students will be able to understand a lot about what they are asking. But sometimes students do struggle even after this, and they still not able to get the concept really well. And as in with students too, this is an age-old thing where sometimes there are difficult concepts. If they are explained to us through analogy, we all understand it well, and that's what we are attempted here. So if I click on analogy, the AI tutor here is explaining me photosynthesis through analogy of baking a cake. So Flexi gives analogy based on sports, food, travel, art, various different hobbies that students might have, so that they feel comfortable, they can relate to it, and they can easily understand that. Sometimes language is a problem, and otherwise they are able to get the things well, but not every student is English as a first language. We can easily translate the response into their own native language, which will help them tremendously. And sometimes students just can understand the same thing if the wordings are different, if the wordings are made a little more simpler. Or for advanced student or students who know this very well, they want more and more detail. So we can do that. We think this level of personalization, where we can give analogy, where we can level it to the student's level, translate it to the student's language, and relate it via the interest and hobbies they have, is going to be very instrumental in making sure that the students understand the concepts really well. But we all have kind of seen that. I've seen with my daughters for sure. A lot of times they're like, okay, I'm learning photosynthesis, but I don't know why. Like, why do I care about photosynthesis? But do have higher education aspiration. If you look at my profile right now as a student, I'm a grade 8 student. I aspire to be a marine biology because I love oceans, I love fishes and things like that. So and then I have some interest that I've told Flexi about over a period of time. If I click on this particular button, I hope you guys all can see this, major related. It tells me why photosynthesis is important for me to understand. Understanding photosynthesis is crucial, as it is the process by which marine plants and algae produce food. It tells me that photosynthesis is the concept that I'm learning. How am I going to use in my career goals, which makes it really motivating for me to digest more and more. Now I'm going to switch gears and show you an example of a math problem. Just so you know, a student can draw a math equation, take a picture of a math equation. This is particularly handy when the student is on a cell phone or an upload an image, or of course we have a good math keyboard that they can use to just type their question. So if I say, okay, give me a little bit of a help on x squared minus 4 is equal to 0, and I just shoot it to Flexi. Flexi always gives me as a student a benefit of doubt that when I'm asking a particular question to it, I genuinely don't know how to solve it. So it will always arm me with a step-by-step solution. But Flexi knows the best way for me to be independent and learn by myself is to practice the similar problem over and over again. So I can ask for a similar question and Flexi will give me saying that, hey, listen, we just walked through x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Now, would you be able to answer x squared minus 16 is equal to 0? And looking at the steps, I hopefully can, but sometimes I do struggle. And then I can say, still help me solve this. And like a human tutor, Flexi will now break down this problem into multiple steps and walk me through step-by-step solution, giving me hint, giving me feedback, giving me support I need on every step of the way. The goal of Flexi is to be my buddy at my fingertips, that is always helping me 24/7. All I need is access to internet and Flexi, and I can take use Flexi any time of the day. Let me show you a little bit more on what other things Flexi can do. And that is basically going to change the way we perceive how AI tutors can really help students. So I'm going to ask what are corresponding angles. And This time, it actually, instead of giving me just a text-based AI-generated response, it's giving me high-quality interactive material from CK12's corpus of libraries. So I can play, learn, and hypothesize how things will work and see it in action if I'm doing it correctly and if I'm understanding it correctly. Or I can even ask Flexi to do certain things for me. And I say, okay, can you draw a diagram of leaf structure? And it will draw me a diagram of the leaf structure. So our goal is to make sure that Flexi is there by your students when you're not with them. And it is also a great tool for parents to use to help explain their students about some of the nitty-gritties of the concept or some of the details of the concept. We also just launched, it's kind of just off the oven, something called Feed. In this day and age, all our students, like, be it YouTube, be it Instagram, be it TikTok, they are all used to feeds. They just scroll and they discover content. And that's our aim, that if we are going to scroll, why don't we learn a thing or two when we are scrolling? And this feed shows, like, it knows that I was talking about photosynthesis. I was talking about different concepts, and it will start pulling good snippets like summary, vocabulary items, some videos, key equations, study guide on this particular concept so that the students can quickly brush up on the topics very well. So that is one of the things that we think that is going to entice students to learn on things that they're not even thinking, 24/7 available. Now we are just going to quickly jump into what can we do for our students to help prepare for an assignment. As you can see in this particular case, student was talking to Flexi about cell division, and Flexi answered the question, but then it's saying, hey, you have an assignment from your teacher on cell division. Do you want to get started on it? And as a student, maybe, I think I'm not ready for it. I could use a brush up. And Flexi says, okay, that's great. I can help you with that. And there could be two things. Either I just need something to brush up, which I can just click on this button and it will pull the summary, the vocabulary items, some images, study guide, what have you, everything that I need to ace my assignment. Or I can just say, you know what, like I still don't feel confident. And then Flexi will walk me step by step through lessons. So that's our goal, that we are always there, no matter what the student needs are, be it an assignment prep or if they want to prep for an upcoming test. We get this question from our students saying that, hey, Flexi, can you help me prepare for an upcoming test? And we say, sure, we can. Just tell us the concept that are going to be on your test. And we got it from there. And you get the idea. Then the Flexi will basically take the students step by step in either kind of giving them a mock quiz or giving them materials to understand the underlying concept of the test really well. There was one question we had gotten from our teachers, and I want to quickly highlight that we can also use Flexi as a student. I can say, I want to learn about mirrors. And then I can select which mirror I'm talking about. I was already in my way in learning this particular topic on mirror. I can resume that. And then Flexi takes the lesson on mirror, which is written by subject matter expert at CK12, breaks it down into smaller chunks like a human tutor will do, and walks me as a student from one chunk at a time and asks me questions on each and every learning objective or chunks to make sure that I'm not dozing off. I'm able to understand what has been presented to me. And if I'm wrong, it gives me meaningful feedback to get back on track. So it walks me through a concept of a lesson step by step, like a human tutor, and making sure, checking my understanding every step of the way. There's a lot more that we can keep going on, but in the interest of time, we just wanted to show you some of the key and salient feature of our AI Tutor Flexi, available 24/7 at your students' fingertips. Thank you for your time. I'll give it back to Katie and Neeru.
Thanks, Miral. So I think Neeru is going to do a little 2-second wrap up, and then we'll give you some resources and jump into Q&A.
Yes, so as you can tell, we've done a lot of work. We are not just ChatGPT. We are, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
There we can see you. Perfect.
Sorry. I thought I clicked on it, but you know. So I just want to kind of remind you that we're trying to be a tutor that uses all kind of tools, including the teachers themselves, the parents, the students. So it is kind of not only just based on AI or machine learning, it is based on a lot of the work that the students themselves are doing and the teachers themselves are doing. So it is one of the most, we are told that it's one of the most advanced AI tutors that's available, that's not just about giving an answer. It is about taking step-by-step solutions that kind of engage the students and encourages them to keep learning. And we know learning is hard. It is fairly easy to use. We'd love for you guys, anybody, to give us feedback as you're using us so that any mistakes or anything that's incorrect only helps everyone else. It is free. Flexi is every teacher's secret weapon. Also, a student's secret weapon that they can also learn. It's not just about cheating, sorry. So I hope you got a good sense of what we've produced. So let's open it up for questions and answers that people have been asking. Katie, thank you.
Great. We're going to wrap up with two things, just so if anyone does want to jump off, you're welcome to do so. We have some great questions in here for Miral and Neeru. So I'm going to give you two more little pieces of information, and then we will just pepper them with questions until we're done. So the first thing is that we want to take a minute to tell you about our Connections program. This is an upcoming program. And as a member of that program, we will work with you directly to help you find and develop lesson plans and resources. So we want to be there right with you, whether in person or virtually, as you deliver these lessons, and that will ensure that your students' learning needs are met and help us kind of go from there. So CK12 Connections is ideal for teachers looking to access cutting-edge technology, but who also want support to get started. It's also perfect for teachers who want to be at the forefront when it comes to using AI in the classroom, and they're interested in beta testing new and developing AI-powered educational resources. So we hope that with our guidance, you'll be able to dive right into this technology and also help ensure that these resources best support students as we continue to develop them. So to sign up or learn more, just email connections@ck12.org, and our Connections team is on this call, so they should pop that in the chat window right now, and you guys can copy that email. And we're super excited to work with you. The other thing is a ton of resources CK12 offers. Well, I'll send you a follow-up. We'll include some of these pieces in there, but we have 2 overview pages that allow you to learn more about Flexi or our learning analytics that we've covered today. And then you can find support through our help desk, our YouTube channel, quick overview videos. Check that playlist out. It's great. Our other webinars, our certified educator program, and even our trainers if you need additional support. And don't forget, you can always ask Flexi for help or email our support team at ck12.org, or finally connect with us on social media. So with that, I'm going to ask Miral to jump back on with his video and audio, and we are going to go through some of these amazing questions we have in here. Our team will continue to try to clear some of them out for time. If you guys are set, you're welcome to pop off. If you want to hear our answers, go ahead and stay on and we'll go from there. So Miral, one of the first questions that we have is about AI answers not always being accurate from experience. So how do you make sure that AI answers are actually accurate and age appropriate?
Absolutely. So as we all know, AI is getting good every single day, but it's not perfect. So we have multiple ways in which we are addressing this. We have a set of domain experts. A lot of them are just former teachers who are always looking and sampling the questions that the students are asking and the answer the students are giving to make sure that they are appropriate and they are correct. We also show snippets of answers from CK12's corpus of library so that students can kind of cross-check and see if they are correct or not. And so we are always striving hard to make sure that we achieve the highest level of accuracy, at the same time giving students different answers from different corpus of library, including human written content, so they can verify that what they are seeing is correct and accurate.
Great, thank you. Earlier you were talking about how Flexi knew kind of that a student is going to master or not. And so how is that information gathering done?
That's a pretty good question. When students are going through adaptive practice, right, which is what typically teachers assign when they're making an assignment, students are answering questions, be it a multiple choice, true, false, or all the different question types that we support. And Flex is constantly learning in terms of what is working for which students, what knowledge they are demonstrating, and what lack of knowledge also they are demonstrating. Every time they're answering a question, we can figure out what are the knowledge components that are there and which ones are missing. So once students have taken about 20 questions, answered 20 questions, Flexi starts to get good understanding of their knowledge states and can start predicting those things. And again, it gets more and more accurate, let's say, within a unit. So if your students have taken an assignment on circulatory system, it will start predicting really well on circulatory system. But if you only turn circulatory system in biology, it's not going to be able to predict well in algebra 1 because your student has not done so. But as far as relevant things are done on our platform, it will start predicting how your students will do on future endeavors.
And it only gets better, it only gets better as more and more information is given to us. We're very careful about privacy issues, so we are not kind of encouraging 13 and under, but the information is only gathered for the personal use of the student or the teacher. We are not a for-profit organization, so whatever we offer is for the good of our users. Just to add that.
Perfect. Neeru, I'm going to put this one to you. So we have a talk from a user about how during the pandemic, a lot more virtual learning was brought in. After the pandemic, some of that was continued. And the comment is that students' learning is not limited to cognitive aspects. They should have kinesthetic learning, social emotional learning. Do you think we're compromising their lifelong learning with digital learning?
Oh boy, that's such an excellent question. And Katie knows it's my favorite topic. This keeps coming up because the different types of learning has been refuted. I think what happens with online is that we are giving you all kind of learnings, all different ways to learn, the video, the text, it's a combination of those things. No single modality is going to give you the answer or the learning. When you absorb all those different ways, you get different aha moments, right? I love reading, but when I see an illustration or an interactive, I really get the missing pieces. How does a point change to create a circle? A student may not know that, but these are different ways of learning. And so online will not take care of a lot of the, I find it myself, I find it hard that, eye contact and all that. That's why you have to have classroom stuff. That's why you still have to have teachers. You still have to have peers. Those are kind of important. But what online does is take away a lot of the burden that's big for our brains because we cannot compute at the level a computer can. Those things are as important as the other, senses. So it's just a different mode of learning.
Great answer.
Hope so.
I'm going to try to combine like 3 or 4 different questions from people that all ask about integration. And I'm going to try to see if I can sum up a quick answer, and then Miral and Neeru, please jump in if you have anything else to add. So basically, people are trying to figure out how they can use Flexi in CK12, whether that's through one of our integrated learning management systems, which is Google Classroom, Canvas, and Schoology that we're fully integrated with. You can make CK12 assignments in them. You can see insights and foresights. Everything is there for you. It's great. Or outside of that, in which case you would also want to use CK12 classes. But really the idea is that you can use the CK12 practice. You can customize that practice into your own quiz options and see pieces there. But then Flexi is a student tutor. Flexi is available pulling from our resources as well as like learning models and different pieces. So that's available just by sharing a direct link with your students in your learning management system or any other platform. But it's not like a separate piece that you can install within something else right now, unless you have one of those integrated pieces where you'd be integrating the assignment functionality for us and getting everything in one big package. Miral, what do you want to add?
I want to add a couple of points to that. Like, one thing that might not be very clear from the demo, when I showed the demo was a standalone Flexi, but Flexi comes bundled with all the courses CK12 offers, be it Algebra 1 or Biology, just right out of the box. You go to any lesson on CK12, Flexi will be right there to assist you and your students. Second thing, we will be soon launching a Chrome app that a student can, and you can install and download on your Mac or iOS or Android. And that app is available all the time to your students, a tutor in their pocket 24/7. So that's what will make Flexi accessible through various different points.
Great.
And we are doing, it is a time-consuming thing. So if something's not available today, we'll try and get to most things, so that, in the meantime, might be a little bit of a pain, but, stay with us.
Okay, thanks. We have a two-part question. Miral, you get the question first. Is there a curriculum for math? And then is Flexi adaptive? And I'll let either one of you answer the second piece of that.
Sorry, Katie, yes, we have full curriculum for math, and I can quickly show the page, and then where just on the homepage you will see the full curriculum of math available. And the second question was, Katie, I'm sorry.
Is Flexi adaptive? And
yes, Flexi uses sophisticated reinforcement learning AI to fix. If you think about ChatGPT or similar tutors around, they basically just answer the student question. The tutors don't initiate the dialogue, which is not what a human tutor do. Human tutors are not a machine to just answer question, but they engage with the student by initiating the dialogue, by suggesting the next activity to do, supporting their activity and whatnot. Flexi's reinforcement learning algorithm figures out what should be suggested next to the student, which will engage the student as well as improve their knowledge state. This reinforcement learning based AI algorithms you will see everywhere. That's the same algorithm used in YouTube's playlist suggestion or TikTok video suggestion and thing. They are using it for some other thing. We are using that algorithm to improve knowledge gains.
Great. We have a person who said, I've seen a number of pieces. I'm currently using Flexi as a way for students to study for a practice test and see if they've understood the major concepts. So that's awesome to hear how Flexi is being used. And their question is, do you think it's important to give them extra assignments?
I think a lot depends on how the state of the student. Assignments by themselves are not always going to be enough. One of the things that Flexi does is give you analogies, and that's one of the reasons we said, what are their interests? Sometimes just giving them a different way of thinking about something that they didn't understand might help. So first try that and then give more assignments. And we know one of the big things about learning is that you forget over time. So I think if you can mix assignments that are not just one thing, but a bunch of concepts that they've already covered over different time periods may also help. And you can actually customize those on our platform.
And the feature that we are working on that might actually help you answer that question even further is we will, as your students go through an assignment, we'll start collecting the knowledge gaps. We'll start collecting the misconception, misunderstanding, silly mistakes, and maybe to overcome those things, you can assign some additional task in future.
Great. We have a question, how Flexi brain boosters connect to adaptive practice?
Can you repeat
So
that?
So I'm guessing we're talking about the like memory boost pieces. I don't.
So
did
yeah,
you mention
memory
that earlier?
booster. Yeah,
How does that connect to
So-
adaptive practice?
I can take that. Like, we keep an eye on what students have learned in the past, and using psychometric algorithms, we figure out when they will forget. Or are the chances of getting those things forgotten. Flexi keeps an eye on that. So if you're using Flexi from time to time will remind students to brush up their knowledge which they have learned in the past, and it also surfaces in adaptive practice. Our goal is like be it adaptive practice, be it Flexi, or be it somewhere else in their journey on Seek It Well. We take the opportunity. A student is on our platform, and if we think that they might have forgotten something due to memory decay, we ask them to optionally brush up on those topics.
Great.
And I think it would be great if you could, teachers and parents, encourage students to go and practice, go and learn what they're missing on Flexi, so that, we can really help them, be their study buddy, or, when you're not able to help them, Flexi can help them.
What are your recommendations for managing students who might use something like Flexi or other AI, or even just Google search inappropriately?
Yeah, that's always a tough one. We've been actively trying to, we are actively trying to keep tabs on us on that. That's always a, kind of a battle we have to keep fighting. We're trying to do the best we can. Perhaps teachers and all, you can talk to them and say what's appropriate, what's not appropriate.
And to add to that, like the good part about Flexi is, like, unlike Google search, you need to understand how to search effectively, remember the keywords. With Flexi, you just talk like you're talking to your friend or a teacher in plain English language, or plain any language that you use, and Flexi will respond to that. So that's the power of AI.
Sorry, trying to get a bunch of different pieces in here. Is critical thinking skills or higher thinking skills of the learner using Flexi? Neeru, I think you are muted, so I'm going to have you unmute that if we're going from there.
So one of the problems with learning is that like the Bloom's taxonomy, moving from one level to another. One thing that in our insights and foresights, and predictions, we've kind of said what level each student is at. So if you look at that and you want to help the students to think critically, you can always start thinking about real world applications with them. So real world applications are a little bit different than a single concept learning. Single concept learning transfer is very hard to do. Real world examples or applications are much more difficult because a bunch of concepts are involved. So start thinking about, questioning or encouraging them about, well, why was the sunset this morning so red? Usually the sun just comes up and is bright, and this morning near our, in California, it was a lot of clouds. So if you start thinking, encouraging to think about these things, questioning them, talking to them, this is where we can partner with teachers and really think about, and Flexi is going to be able to talk to students about that as we progress more and more and we know about the student state. Advanced students may do it much more easily than students who are still struggling to learn the concepts. So I'm a big fan of real world applications. So think about how might those You know, if we as teachers, educators, districts start thinking about encouraging students really apply what they're learning, whether it's their interest, whether it's real world examples. And this is where we have also created this interest-based learning, so that if you encourage your students to fill their profiles about what they like, what they want to do in the future, we can really help them get engaged in their learning. Why do I have to learn becomes a question that becomes easier to understand.
Great. I'm going to try to take this one. Is there a way that we can create tasks related to videos that are used within a chemistry textbook? So there are 1,000 different ways to learn and use CK12. I've been working with teachers for almost a decade on this, and every single teacher uses parts of CK12 differently. So if you want to share anything from our site, you're welcome to just pull the URL of something and share it with your students, make your own assessment. You're welcome to use our adaptive practice. You're welcome to customize that into a quiz and assign that. You can assign one of our cool interactives and then, have your students post the answer to a discussion question from one of our clicks, all sorts of options. But if you want to make an assignment out of that video, there's nothing really for us to grade on that one. It's just kind of a, hey, they got a chance to watch it. So I would say you'd want to just share that link and then make an assignment with that. That's not going to give you the great, amazing insights and foresights that we've been talking about. In order to really leverage that information and prediction and then post performance for students, you do want to use CK12 adaptive practice or our quiz questions or something where we're actually answering and CK12 itself is grading on your behalf, save you time at the same time. So just keep that part in mind, but you are welcome to also assign, or better yet, just share ck12.org/flexi with your kids, and then they can do some learning on that. And maybe you make an assignment that says, try this out and share a great answer you got, or some sort of cool analogy. We had a teacher when we were in a class the other day that said, ooh, I'm going to make my kids all ask the same question, all check the analogies, and based on what they've done, they're going to get different categories, whether that's fashion or sports or something like that. And then they can talk and discuss the different analogies and have a really cool learning opportunity out of that. So that's something to keep in mind in terms of ways you can assign and leverage CK12, but all bets are off in terms of the best way to do it. We definitely see anything and everything to meet the needs of the teachers and the students in each unique situation. Miral, I think I have one more in here for you. Can Flexi generate the answers to understand more for concept questions to help the students? So I don't know if you want to try to translate that into something and respond to that. If you want me to ask for more clarification, let me know.
A bit of a clarification will be helpful, but any conceptual question or procedural question that you can ask to Flexi, it will help your students answer those, as well as provide as analogies and different rephrasing, give them challenge questions or check their understanding. All of that thing that you will expect from a human tutor, Flexi will do that, irrespective of it's conceptual or procedural.
Great. I'm just responding to that last piece. It looks like we got one more answer in here. I'd love to be very proficient in the use of CK12. So is there opportunity for training teachers, etc.? So I'm actually was sharing this because Miral talked about the math. I just swapped screens to show you. This is our drop-down subjects menu. This is our student place. Our teacher version is here. But if you want to explore any additional resources and you didn't quickly copy those pieces or can't find the email when I follow up with you, check under Explore. You can find resources for learning more under our Certified Educator program, our webinars. There's a link to our YouTube channel at the bottom of that. In our footer, check out our additional trainers that can help you from there, or just reach out to us at support@ck12.org and we will see what we can do to help support you and learn from you as well. We learn so much about using CK12 from teachers when we get to sit in on their classes, we get to have conversations with them. So go ahead and reach out to us. Join that connections program that I was talking about earlier. Just email connections@ck12.org. And two of our content team members, we have a math and a science person in there, will love to work with you and learn more and support you in that work. So I think, did we get more questions? we had a question about the certified educator course. We are going to be doing an update because we released a whole bunch of cool stuff this fall. So I would say hold off on taking it again. There are recertification options if you just want to brush up on pieces. Just reach out to us at support and we'll go from there. And for the people asking, you will get an email with a certificate tomorrow for your time that you spent in here today so that you can share that with your districts and go ahead and learn from there. So I think we answered that piece live. And when is the app coming available? I'm assuming that's the Chrome app that you were talking about or the extension. Miral, do you have a timeline on that at all?
It should definitely be there early next year.
I keep telling him yesterday.
Great. I think with that, we have answered all our questions and we can go from there and wrap up for the evening. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Miral and Neeru, thank you so much for all of your hard work, expertise, dedication, everything else. It's been great having you on this webinar and we look forward to following up with you. Please do not hesitate to reach out and share your experience and ask us questions. Have a great night.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you, teachers, for everything you do.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And the best way you can pay us back is by sharing your experience with us and encouraging others to use us. That would be my ask. Thank you.